Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and my January 2024 Club Kit card class with Spellbinders Club Kits. I love these club kits, and so every month I try to bring you some inspiration with the club kits that I get, and I'm going to show you them right now. This is the large die of the month Honeybee jar, and there's a free set this month. It comes with the new Deluxe Caboodle Kit, which is all the club kits rolled into one, and you get a free gift. We'll talk more about that. Then there's the BetterPress Poppy Greetings. Love this. It has 2 sentiments in it. And then we have our Glimmer kit, which is called Card Front Floral. We have our clear stamp and coordinating die called Just Because, and a stencil kit. I'm loving it. Lively Floral. We have the embossing folder of the month called Branching Out, the 3D embossing folder called Efflorescent Flora, and we have the wax seal of the month called Made with Love. Now there are 2 club kits that I don't get, but I wanted to show them to you. It's the stitching die called Bee Stitching and the small die of the month called Sitting Pretty. We're going to jump right in and start with card number 1 featuring the large die of the month. So here it is. This honeybee jar is huge. It's like 5-ish inches, and it cuts out this great jar, which you could put more in it besides honey. You could have this be jam, which I'd really love to do, but I wanted to show you it as a honey jar because it comes with the bee, and that's kind of a theme in this month's release is honey, bees, flowers. So yeah, it's really cute. Okay, so I'm showing you now what it looks like when you die cut out the jar, plus that inner part that creates the honey. It's going to give you a nice frame. So it's another great way to use your dies. You can fill it in with the die cut honey pieces. I'm going to show you another way you can use it as well. So stay tuned for that for when we get to the card making part. But I always love to show you each die in the large die of the month because a lot of them require some assembly, and some of them you're like, what is that die? Like this one. It's a little twine to go around that little piece of cloth that covers the top of the jar. We have a 2-piece tag set, so you can use it with or without the little sentiment that says Hi Bee. Kind of random, but it's cute. And then we have our layering bee itself. Now, I know I have researched that bees have black faces, so I always like to do my bee with a black face, and I usually do that with Copic markers so I can get a little highlight there so it's not just pitch black. But for the rest of the bee's body, I die cut that piece, that die, from black cardstock backed with some adhesive sheets. So I could pick those tiny little pieces up and just stick them right down to the body of the bee. Now I went back and forth between doing the body in yellow or the body in white, and that's because of the wings, which I die cut from vellum. Did I want the yellow showing behind them? I didn't hate it, so I went with it. I liked that the body of the bee was already yellow, but you could also color the body of the bee yellow if you had used the white piece and then leave the wings white or do a little tint of blue. I colored in the eye with a gold Jelly Roll pen, and then here's all the greenery from this die set. You know, Spellbinders loves to put in florals in their things. They love florals, and they are so good. Always they have etched lines in them or cutaway pieces that give them so much detail. Okay, we've looked at all the pieces. Now it's time to create our card. I'm going to make a shaker card because that is my favorite kind of card. So I always try to incorporate at least one shaker card into my club kit video, and a lot of times it is with the large die of the month. I just love it. So I thought I would make a honey jar that is a shaker. So I die cut out the largest jar shape from this piece of pattern paper. Now, I'm not going to be able to link this paper for you because I have this, stash of patterned paper that I, haven't used. And today was that day when I pulled paper out from my stash and used it. So y'all should be really happy for me, right? Okay, I am putting in place the jar and the top piece of the honey as a mask, and I'm going to just kind of ink blend my own pot of honey. Now I kept those in place and added the bottom part of the honey, and that's also a mask because I want that kind of ellipse piece that makes it look like the top of the honey. It gives it kind of that 3D look, and I used Rusty Hinge for that and then went back over it with my blending buddy brush that had that I used the honey color, the Distress Oxide honey color. What is that called? Drizzled honey? I don't remember. Okay, I added the frame over the top of my window sheet, which I adhered to the back of the jar, and then that gave me a nice little frame which separated it from the background. I added the little fabric topper, which I also die cut from pattern paper that was in that same pack as that chicken wire, and it's so cute in the gingham. Then I added the bow or the twine and the tag. Now, you could, instead of doing the ink blending from behind, paper piece on top of that window sheet the die cut pieces of honey, but then your shaker bits are going to go behind and only be seen when you shake them, so it's just like whichever way you want to do it. I have some confetti bits. These are like seashore, and these are sunflower, both from Trinity Stamps. I have just like so many embellishments from them, and they're so great, and I thought these really matched my shaker. So now I'm just going to go slow, steady, careful, and put the topper on, which is going to cover up the wonky sides of the honey from doing my ink blending, which is just perfect. And then I added the little bee, popped him up because, you know, he's flying by, so a dimensional was perfect on the back of that. Now for my florals, I kind of did this dusty rose color, and I'm adding a little bit of rouge ink from Altenew to just bring that to life a little bit. You know, kind of gives it like a 3D look, and I love it. And this flower is probably my favorite among flowers from Spellbinders in a long time. I think it's gorgeous. I'll use it again on my next card. And then I'm going to do the wax seal of the month. This one's called Made with Love. I think this could possibly be the wax seal that I'll use the most. Because, you know, made with love, it totally goes with a card. It could go on a jar of honey if you were giving away a jar of honey that you produced with bees, you know. It just goes with a lot of things like gifts and cards. So there it is with the blue wax beads that came with the wax seal of the month, which I'm going to let you know inspired the color palette for all the rest of my cards, even for this one, because I chose that blue gingham topper based on this wax color. I just thought it was a really fun pop. So now I'm adding some more flowers, well, a flower, some greenery, and then that is where I'm going to stick the wax seal, right there between the flower and the little greenery. And then there's these little bitsy white flowers. I'm going to put a few of those around to finish off that little cluster. And then they do have a little center, like the die cuts these tiny little centers. So that works perfect for the center there. And then I wanted to show you this flower, which I didn't end up using on my card, but I wanted to show you how it all hooks together on that little vine. Really cute. Okay, now Spellbinders does have these markers that you can use to color the top part of your wax seal, which really makes it pop, and I love that. So I did mine with the gold pen, and ooh, it's so good. So this is going to go on a 5x7 card. So my card base, which I am attaching these strips to right now, was 10 inches by 7 inches, scored at 5 inches and folded on that line. Now I cut my pattern paper a little bit shorter. I actually thought it was shorter than it is, and then I adhered that to my card base. Now I want to talk about the Kit and Caboodle, because I'm going to use this die set for the inside. So what the Kit and Caboodle thing is, it's a collection of all the club kits from Spellbinders, all of them, and it's put together to give you like a good deal, and then they're now including an exclusive free product. So this month it is this Honey Dipper die set, which totally goes with the jar, and I think that is the coolest thing ever. The Honey Dipper makes me so happy. It even has drizzling honey. So it's a really good deal, and I get all but 2 of the kits, so it's a really great way to get an extra free something. And almost always the club kits, like, you can really combine them and use them together, which is what I try to show you in these videos. And I think that you are going to love getting the free thing each month. Like this month, it's so good. I'm anticipating it's going to always be so good. So check out the Kit and Caboodle. I'm going to have all the club kits linked for you below, so you can just click on it, check it out, see what you think. So that finishes off my Honeybee jar shaker card. That's card number 1. And now we're going to jump into card number 2, and we're going to play with the 3D embossing folder. But I want to ink blend my cardstock before I run it through. I'm just adding some jet black ink to this like royal blue cardstock. And then we'll pop it into the folder, run it through using my universal plate system. If you use a lot of things from lots of companies. The universal plate system for the Platinum 6 machine is so handy, and it gives you like a guide, like if you're using this embossing folder from this company, you want to use these shims, and it comes with all the shims. It's so good. All right, so over the top of that, I'm using my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. It is like ultra thick paint, and I watered it down and splattered it. Okay, we're going to do another wax seal, but I'm trying a new technique. Like, this is the first time I've ever done this, and I'm recording it, showing it. I am going to do 2 different colors of wax. So I heated up my wax seal itself, the stamper part. I melted 1 bead of white wax, and I'm filling in that image, the words, and then I'm scraping off any excess, otherwise it's not going to look as cute. So you really want the top to be clean. I'm going to set it right by my warmer, by that candle, to keep it warm while I melt the blue part that's going to be the part I press the stamper into. So you can see I'm holding my stamper over the flame, keeping it warm, and then I'll press it down into that wax, and that's going to help the white come out when it when I press it on there. And by the way, you don't really want to press the wax sealer into the wax. You want to just set it there and let it cool for like 15 seconds. So there you go. It worked out good the first time. The second time, not so much. I don't know what I did wrong, but I had to melt it off and yeah, move on. Okay, so for the rest of this card, I am taking those flowers that I love so much from the large die of the month and adding blue ink to them. And then for the greenery, I'm doing green ink, but you can see I'm not going all the way to the edge. Like, I'm not creating flowers that look like they're die cut from blue cardstock. I want to leave that white edge where the blue fades to white. And it is gorgeous, and it just pops off of this royal blue cardstock so much. Like, I feel like this is like a Yana card. Do you guys know who Yana is? She's a fabulous designer. She works for Spellbinders as a designer and designs stamps and dies and all the things, and hot foil plates, and she creates just gorgeous cards with like these striking backgrounds. And so I feel like I'm, channeling my inner Yana making this card, because she does these dark backgrounds and they're amazing. So I think this is probably my favorite card of today's video. I just love, love, love how it turned out. So there it is. And then on the inside, I can put a white sheet of paper or write on the inside with a white gel pen, because I did mount it onto a card base that is black. All right, let's move on to card number 3, featuring the stamp set of the month. And this one has like a image that creates a frame. I thought for this card I was only going to stamp this one time. So I created a background here that takes that prize ribbon distress oxide ink that I think really goes with all the blue I'm using, and I just kept it darker at the bottom and faded it out to white. I then heat set that. I treated it with the anti-static powder tool, and then I tested it, and my embossing powder still stuck. So I went back and I heated it again. I treated it again with more anti-static powder and just tested it out again before I set to stamping and embossing. And once it had no powder residue, I knew I was good to go ahead and stamp. So you can see here that kind of half frame image. And again, I thought I was just going to stamp it on the bottom of the card and it was going to be fine. But once I stamp this out, which by the way, I'm using VersaFine Onyx black ink, it stays wet a little bit longer and it is like black. It's so good. And then over the top, I am putting my black embossing powder. I like to use the black ink with the black embossing powder. It just, I don't know, if you miss an area of black powder, it's still black, which I feel like the leaf on the center sunflower didn't get quite enough powder. So you can see once this frame is stamped, it had like a really abrupt edge, and it just wasn't going to be awesome if I did one side. At least that's how I felt for this card. So once I had those 2 sides stamped and embossed, and it's over the top of Distress Oxide ink, I can take my water brush pen and color those flowers with water and then pick up any of that residual ink that the water is activating for me. And that's going to just remove some of that color and help these images really stand out. And it just turned out so good. And I feel like it's a little bit easier to do with an image that is embossed because it has that little bit of a raised up line and it helps you keep it inside a little bit more. But if you don't, it's no big deal. It's like a watercolor look. It's fine. I went out of the line some places, but you know what? I had a ton of fun making that background. Okay, so I decided for the center of this card, I wanted the honeybee jar, the honey jar, and the word happy birthday. I am going to go ahead and emboss those with black like I did with my background because I'm going to watercolor this as well. Like I already have the Distress Oxide inks out from doing all this ink blending and fun stuff. So I decided I'm going to just go ahead and, you know, use that to watercolor with, which I did a bunch of in my December club kit video. So if you haven't checked that one out yet, because it just barely came out on the last day of December, I had a very full month. I'm going to link that for you at the end of this video and you can watch that one next because there was a lot of fun techniques in that video too. A lot of fun products in that video. Okay, so I've colored out the honey using the honey ink. Still can't remember the name. It's there at the top of the screen. You see it? Honey. All right, so for the little rope part, I'm using the rusty hinge, and that just finishes it off. But once I stamped all that, I was like, I really have to use the a bee from that stamp set. They're so cute. There's 2 bees in there that are like standalone images, and I think they're so darling. They're actually really realistic, and I think they're just a really fun addition to this card. So I did one and used the ink already on my, you know, little glass mat there to color him up, and then it's time to die cut out all the things. Now, while we have the die set out, I want to show you, I didn't do this, but I wanted you to know there's 3 dies in this set that can die cut out pieces from that little background stamp. So 2 different floral collections and then one for this bee. So that's like almost like an extra way you can use this stamp set. Love it. Okay, I mounted that to my A2 size card base. So A2 means it's a piece of paper that's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and you just fold that in half and you've got a card. All right, I added all my little images there, popped up with some dimensionals, some foam squares, and then added some blue rhinestones. Now I use these on a bunch of cards. Once I got those out, they weren't getting put away because they are the perfect match. And also, once I started doing this like blue color combination, I could not stop. So you need to understand that for this next card because I think some of you might not be happy about my color choice. I don't know, but like I'm making a card, right? It can be any color, right? So we're going to start out with the embossing folder of the month. I'm taking my Versamark sticky ink and rubbing it on the top side of the folder that has like the name and the graphic on it. And that is going to make my background sticky and leave the leaves white. Well, mostly white. Some of them got ink on them, and I'm going to pour on the top of this some blue embossing powder from Wow. Now, did you notice my little collection there was blue and yellow, and then it has like a mix of blue and yellow? This is their embossing powder collection that they are selling, and the profits go to help the efforts in Ukraine. So if you're interested in, you know, these cool powders plus helping, then this is what you would want to get. I will leave a link for you in the description box below. Okay, next, this is the Poppy Greetings BetterPress plates. Now, I know that poppies are red, but I wanted blue. I couldn't put red flowers on top of this blue background. It was too like 4th of July. And I wanted to do an ombre effect because I have 2 BetterPress inks that are blue. And then I also have the Archival blue in the prize ribbon, which I've been using. So I thought I would try all 3 inks and press that onto some of the cotton paper from Spellbinders. And I love the paper. I love it, especially even more after the next step, which you'll see. So there they are in blue. What do you think? I don't know. Some people probably don't like it. I am okay with it. Like, I feel like it's just an artistic expression on this card, and it's okay that they're not red, right? I feel like you can use your dies and stamps creatively, and sometimes it just works. So now I'm cutting this out, and I have to say, cutting out that cotton paper is so nice. It cuts so good. I don't know what it is about it. All right, so I have a piece of vellum which I cut so that I would have a nice border all the way around this 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 panel of embossed goodness. And then I added my flowers over the top, popped them up with some foam squares, and then this is getting mounted onto my A7 size card with a white border all the way around. And then for a little sentiment, I'm using the thank you from the Poppy Greetings set. I did use the mid-tone blue from the BetterPress inks on this, and ooh, it looks so good. I love that color. It's a really great color. And then I'll link the ink for you below, so you can see the different inks that the BetterPress has. Now I cut these out with this tag die set. It's just like basic tags. And then I decided I would add a little bit of twine, and I just thought this rustic twine that's like burlappy, you know, would be really fun on this card. And then I added a little bit of ink that was still left on my blending brush. I didn't actually bring out an ink pad at all, but a lot of times our blending brushes hold that extra ink and we end up wiping it off on a paper towel, but you can use it for things like this. Okay, so then I took a glue dot and I stuck the twine to that, and then I pushed it down with my little foam square on the back to hold the tag in place. But then overnight I was like, I do not like that bow. I don't like it. It's too big, too chunky for this like pretty kind of elegant card. So I just woke up the next morning, came up to my stamp room, and just cut that thing off. I added this twine, which is white with like a gold thread through it, and that was so much better. And then I went rhinestone crazy, and I put them just everywhere, all over this card. But I think that it works. Sometimes you just need a little extra bling or a lot of bling on your card. All right, that finishes off that card. We're going to move on to card number 5, which I think is like so cool. This is the Glimmer kit of the month. So it comes with foil. Mine was copper, and so I went ahead and used the foil that they sent me. Now, from what I've read, not everybody gets the same color of foil with their hot foil kit, but you get foil. So tell me, if you get this kit, what color foil did you get this month in January? So there it is, hot foiled. It had a little skippity, like the plate moved. So I redid it. Ooh, I liked it so much better, but I think I would probably still use the other one. And then I took the piece of foil that I used to hot foil, put that down onto a solid plate and a 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of cardstock. And then once that was heated up, I ran it through. Now, when I do solid plate hot foiling, I always add an extra shim in there, and it usually does the trick. But this one didn't quite get all the background transferred. Now, again, I probably would still use this because I like a little bit of a shabby chic look, and you just would have to play into that look with any card you made with that. So I had the other piece from the skippity background that I made, and I decided to go ahead and try again, hot foiling that whole thing. This time I ran it through my machine and then back, so it had 2 passes, and it came out amazing. Look at that. It's so good. So I'll use that one. I also wanted to use one of the sentiments. This one says thanks, and you can see I'm taping the plate to the foil. The foil's pretty side up and onto that cardstock, and then you put the whole thing face down onto the Glimmer hot foil system and then run that through as normal. So I'm going to set all those things aside, and we're bringing in the stencil of the month because it coordinates with the Glimmer hot foil system. And that is so cool. So this is Lively Florals. But here's the thing. This stencil set is completely standalone. So if you don't get the Glimmer kit of the month, you can use the stencil all by itself. And I'm going to show you that in today's video as well. So I'm going to do a blue flower, surprise, surprise, using the prize ribbon. And again, I'm going to try and have my ink be more concentrated in the center and then kind of fade out to white as we get towards the edges of the flower. And I just think that is a soft and pretty look. Now these stencils have sentiments on them. There's one that says hello lovely, and there's one that says for you. So I'm avoiding that sentiment because I'm going to have mine say for you. So on this part of the stencil, I just need to do that second layering of the flowers. Now, because there's 2 layers of the flower, you could have your petals alternate colors. Okay, this stencil right here is going to put those lines into the flowers, but with the hot foil plate, it already did the lines for us, so I can skip that part and just work on my little sentiment here that says for you. So good. Now, these stencils do have little markings in the corner that will fit the corners of your cardstock you put behind it. If you're doing a 5.5 by 4 1/4 piece of paper and you're just doing the stenciling, you're not doing it over top of the hot foiling. So when you're trying to line this up, when you're doing the hot foiling, you just really can take the stencil and kind of line it up with the image beneath it, like these leaves, for example. So that's why my stencil will kind of look like it's off to the side, because I'm lining it up with something I already hot foiled. So it's not going to be like perfectly straight, but you know, it's okay. Okay, so I did my leaves in green, and then for the center of the flower, I am using a combination of that honey drizzle? I don't remember what it's called. And rusty hinge. So that completes it. I added this to a card front, and I'm telling you, I loved it so much. Just like this, I added nothing more to it, nothing. And I felt like it would just be a really nice, soft, elegant greeting card, like a note card for somebody. So for this one, I wanted to point this out for this background that is completely hot foiled. If you were to take glue and, you know, put a line of glue around this, the glue will make like a little bump. I don't, it just shows through when you have a solid hot foiled piece. Trust me, I know. So I used my tape runner there, and then I added this strip that says thanks to it. And again, I thought this is another elegant note card. I'm going to leave it just as it is. For card number 7, we're going to use that stencil set all by itself. No hot foiling whatsoever. So now I can take the little kind of registration marks in the corner of the stencil and line those up with my paper. And if I do that every time, then the stencil pieces should line up very easily with each other. Again, I'm using the honey ink and the rusty hinge, going back and forth, but also trying to keep the edge of the flower, the ends of the petals, lighter than the center. And I'm keeping the same exact colors for the second layer of the florals. And I just like the look with when they're all the same, but they have variation because I'm adding more than one color. And these little blending brush sticks that you see in my hand right now from Spellbinders really help you to get those little small colors added to like just the base of a petal, or you know, when you want to add just a little shading to something that is stenciled. So I love them. They come in a set of 3, and I'm using one here to do the center of my flower, where I kept the edge dark and the center light. I'm also using them for my flower or my leaves here, where I did one light color first, and then I came in with the second color just towards the base and added that darker color. And it really brings them to life. You could do just one color, but oh my gosh, doing the 2 colors, I am in love with it. Yeah, so I recommend you giving that a try if you have yet to do something like that. So there's the background with just stenciling, no hot foiling. It is beautiful. All right, so now I'm going to stamp some bees from that stamp set of the month, 2 of them. I thought it just really added to this card. And then they're going to be colored up with some Copic markers, and you can see those on the screen. I did very simple coloring, Y17 and Y15 for the body, the yellow parts of the bee, a little B00 really lightly for the wings, just adding like a little shadow there. And then I'm using some T markers, T7, T5 for the face, and then that gold gel pen for making the eyes shiny. Yeah, so that finishes off that card. I'm going to stick it down to an A2 size card base. I did trim this down so I had a little bit of a white edge. I like that look on my note cards. And those 3 cards are going to be a gift card set. So let me show you next how I'm going to put these together. So I have the 3 cards, I have 3 envelopes, and I'm going to put these in a little flat cellophane envelope kind of thing. And they're going to fit in there perfectly because they're flat cards, not, you know, a lot of dimension. So next I'm adding this strip of pattern paper. This is from the same pack, that I've used throughout today's video. And don't be sad because that other side of the paper is so pretty, but I just like the yellow plaid here for simplicity. Now I brought back that twine, that kind of burlappy twine that I didn't use before. I love it and it needed to make an appearance. So I wrapped that around as well. And then I'm adding one of the little wax seals that says made with love. And then you have a really fun gift card set that can be given to someone as a gift. Just, you know, kind of adhere the back down and you've got your present ready to go. And that is going to be a present for one of you. I want to give it away to one of my followers. Thank you guys so much for watching, liking my videos, sharing them, commenting, clicking on my links. It means so much to me to be able to get to do what I love. So thank you for your support. Just leave a comment below, and I will be in touch with the winner probably in about a week's time. So you've got about a week to leave comments, and I will see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping. Bye.